There is no power in the world greater than this. The moment you dare to believe that your world is not fixed, it is fluid, malleable, yours to shape, not by force, not by effort, but by the stillness of your assumption. One shift. It's all it takes, not 10, not 1,000 small efforts, just one sacred shift in how you see yourself. You spend too long trying to change what is outside. But the outside is not the cause, it is the echo, the reflection, the mirror. And no mirror ever changed until the one looking into it did. When you shift your inner state, even silently, even invisibly, everything outside must respond, not because you begged, pleaded, or fought, but because the law is perfect. The world obeys your self-concept. You are not a victim of what you see, you are the author of it. You don't have to figure out how the change will happen. You only need to decide who you are and live from that place. Assume it, live it, walk in it. Don't wait for evidence. Don't ask for signs. Be the sign. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And the moment you become, in feeling, in imagination, in stillness, the world cannot help but catch up. The world is a shadow, following the light of your inner belief. So make the shift, once, fully, without looking back, without doubting. Stand in the new version of yourself and do not move. You'll see it, suddenly, unexpectedly, but inevitably, because one shift, just one, and everything changes. Everything you see, everything you touch, every person you encounter is a mirror held up to your inner world. This truth is not spoken loudly in society, because if it were fully accepted, it would hand you the key to all transformation. The truth is simple yet profound. Your outer world is nothing more than the reflection of your inner assumptions. What you accept as true about yourself, about life, about others, begins to take form in the world around you. You may believe your circumstances are fixed, that life happens to you, but that is only because you have not yet realized how deeply your inner state projects itself into the fabric of your reality. When you assume lack, you live in a world that confirms it. When you dwell in fear, your world gives you more to fear. But when you shift your inner focus to faith, to peace, to abundance, without needing to force or chase, your world begins to bend to that quiet inner knowing. The world obeys your self-concept. It does not respond to your words or your effort alone, but to the silent story you tell about who you are and what you deserve. This is why people who seem to do very little sometimes receive very much, and why those who try so hard often remain stuck. Because it is not effort that moves reality, it is alignment. Alignment with the inner image, the inner feeling, the inner knowing. You do not need to manipulate the outer. You don't need to convince others, fix your circumstances, or change your environment first. You must go within to the place where all change begins. If you can change your assumptions, your beliefs, your emotional stance, the world around you will begin to echo that change. Not always instantly, not always loudly at first, but certainly and unavoidably. Think of your consciousness like a projector. It casts images onto the screen of life, but the film it plays is made up of your assumptions. If you dislike what you see, you do not blame the screen, you change the reel. You change the image within, and the screen must follow. Your world is no different. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of life. What you accept within must take shape without. The man or woman who assumes they are worthy will find opportunities arriving, support appearing, doors opening, not because they pushed, but because they believed. And belief is the seed of creation. Even in the silence, your assumptions are speaking. Even when you are not trying, your inner state is shaping the tone and texture of your days. So the only question that matters is this: what are you assuming to be true? Not what do you want to be true, but what are you accepting as true in the quiet chambers of your mind? When you begin to change that, even a little, you'll start to notice subtle shifts. You'll feel different. People respond differently. Circumstances begin to align. Why? Because the outer world has no choice. It is compelled to reflect what you truly believe within. Change your inner world, and your life cannot stay the same. Imagination is not a child's plaything or a fleeting escape from reality. It is the very substance from which reality is formed. Everything that exists, every structure, every invention, every relationship began first in the unseen realm of imagination. What you accept and feel to be true in that quiet, sacred space becomes the blueprint for what unfolds in your external world. You are not bound by what has been. You are freed by what you can imagine and embody within. The moment you dare to imagine differently, to feel something new, and let it live inside you as if it were already done, you begun the act of creation. Not creation in the distant future, but creation here and now. The moment you feel it as real, before any evidence appears, you have altered the course of your life. You may not see the changes instantly, but like a seed planted in soil, the unseen transformation has already begun. Most people look at life and say this is what is, and therefore this is what must continue. They allow their senses to dictate their reality, but the senses only report what imagination has already sown. If you live by what you see, you will continue to recreate the same conditions. But if you learn to live by what you imagine, what you choose to see within, you tap into the creative force that shapes universes. Imagination is not idle, it is not fantasy, it is the inner workshop of the divine. It is the place where you rehearse and accept the scenes of your life long before the world catches up. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who remain stuck is not luck, nor is it effort. It is the decision to imagine boldly and to persist in that inner vision until the outer reality mirrors it. You are imagining all the time, whether you know it or not. Every time you worry, you're imagining. Every time you replay a past hurt, you're imagining. Every time you dwell in hope or dread or longing, you are engaging your imagination. The key is to use this gift consciously. Direct it, guide it, choose the picture you wish to live inside, and remain faithful to it. The feeling is what seals it. You cannot simply recite new thoughts and expect transformation. It is the feeling of reality within that changes the mold. If you can sit in silence, close your eyes, and feel the truth of your new state, feel the joy, the peace, the relief, the confidence, as though it were already here, then you have shifted your destiny. The world must respond, not because you forced it, but because you became the new version of yourself through imagination. You don't need permission to imagine differently. You don't need proof before you feel the change. Imagination is the cause. The outer world is merely the effect. You are not at the mercy of life. You are the architect of it. So enter the inner chamber, close the door, and imagine not what is, but what could be. Then feel it as though it were already done. When you do, you have turned the master key. You have unlocked the door to a new world, and all of life will rearrange itself to match the image you hold within. You are not waiting for life to change. You are not waiting for the right moment, the right person, the perfect opportunity, or a shift in the stars. That waiting game is an illusion, because the truth is, you are not the effect, you are the cause. The change you long for does not live in the future, it lives in you, right now. In this very moment, you hold the power to shift everything, not by changing your surroundings, but by changing your stance within. There is no power in waiting. Waiting is rooted in the belief that something outside must move before you can become who you truly are. But the external world is not the initiator, it is the follower. It bends to your decision, it mirrors your stance. The moment you decide, fully and finally, to be different in consciousness, the world begins to adjust itself around you. You are not a product of time. You are not bound by circumstance. Both are fluid, shaped by the one who dares to assume their rightful identity. If you believe change comes later, it will. If you believe change must begin now, and you live from that change, embody it in thought, feeling, and action, then now is when life transforms. The delay you experience is not from life, it is from hesitation within, from the refusal to step boldly into the new self without needing external permission. But the moment you say, I am no longer waiting, I am now, you step into power. You stop observing life and you begin directing it. This is the great secret. The change you are waiting for is not an event, it is a decision. It is the decision to no longer think the way you did, to no longer feel helpless, unworthy, anxious, or doubtful. It is the moment you declare that you are already the person who has, who is, who lives the life you once hoped would come someday. This shift happens in an instant, not through struggle, not through force, through clarity, through surrender, through the quiet, firm decision to see yourself and your world differently and to refuse to go back. Life does not respond to waiting. It responds to embodiment. The question is never, when will it come? The real question is, when will you become? When will you step into the identity that matches the reality you seek? You don't need to fix your past. You don't need to control the future. You need only to dwell now in the feeling of already being the one who has changed. Feel it in your breath, in your posture, in your thoughts, in the way you carry yourself through this day. The transformation you seek begins the moment you stop expecting something else to save you and you recognize the shift must happen within. The moment you stop waiting for change and realize you are the change is the moment life begins to follow your lead. Everything begins from that inner movement, that inner stance. So step into it now, become it now, live from it now, and you'll discover that life is not happening to you, it's flowing from you, always has, always will. There is a secret held by those who shape reality effortlessly, quietly, without striving. It is not found in struggle or repetition or desperate hope. It is found in a single inner act, the assumption of the end. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not merely to dream of something better, but to occupy it now in imagination and to live from it as though it were already fact. This is the sacred act that changes everything. Most wait for evidence before they believe. They say, when I have it, then I will feel it. But the law of life moves in the opposite direction. It is not feeling that follows having. It is having that follows feeling. When you assume you already are what you desire to be and you feel it so deeply that you no longer question it, life has no choice but to mirror your state. That is the law. That is the shift. This assumption is not pretending. It is not mere visualization. It is embodiment. You walk differently. You speak differently. You think from the place you used to only look toward. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because in your inner world it already has. This is not denial of reality, it is the creation of a new one. To assume the end is to stop chasing and begin receiving. It is to surrender striving and step into knowing. It is a calm confidence, a still conviction that what you desire is already yours in substance and only awaits the unfolding in time, but time is not your concern. You have moved, you have shifted, you now dwell in the end. When you assume the end, you stop reacting to appearances. The old world may still echo back the past for a while, but you no longer answer to it. You answer only to your new state. You don't explain it. You don't need permission. You simply live from the truth of the unseen. This is the place of peace. This is the end of anxiety. You are not hoping, wishing, or begging. You are knowing. You have climbed into the feeling of your fulfilled desire and made it your home. And because you are there in consciousness, the outer must eventually find you there. It cannot resist the pull of your conviction. Assuming the end is not a one-time act, it is a way of life. Each moment is a choice to either return to the old self, who lacked, who questioned, who waited, or to remain in the new self, who has already received, already become, already is. It is that steadfastness that opens the door. And yes, it requires faith, not blind faith in the unknown, but intimate faith in your creative power. You have already done this many times without knowing. You've assumed lack and lived in it. You've assumed rejection and met it. Now you are simply choosing a higher assumption, one of love, abundance, peace, success, wholeness. And you are choosing to stay there no matter what. That one shift, the inner decision to assume the end, is the moment everything begins to change. Because you are no longer trying to reach the destination, you are living from it. And that, more than any action you could take, is what moves the world. Your reactions are not random. They are windows into your inner state. They tell the truth about where you dwell in consciousness, not where you want to be, not what you're trying to achieve, but who you truly believe you are right now. Every reaction, whether subtle or loud, is a mirror reflecting the identity you've accepted within. And until that identity changes, the world cannot shift. People often attempt to change their circumstances while holding on to the same self-concept. They repeat affirmations, visualize outcomes, chase goals, yet they react to life from fear, lack, doubt, and unworthiness. That reaction tells the real story. Because you cannot live in abundance while reacting from scarcity. You cannot embody love while reacting with bitterness. You cannot claim success while reacting with the insecurity of someone who has not yet arrived. But here is the power. When you begin to respond to life from your chosen state, from the place of already being, already having, already knowing, everything starts to move. The world cannot help but reorganize around your new posture. The people, the opportunities, even the so-called delays begin to serve your assumed identity. Your reactions are your choice. You may not control every circumstance, but you are always free to choose how you respond. That choice is the point of creation. Every time you choose to react as the new version of yourself, calmly, confidently, with trust rather than fear, you reinforce the new state. You water it. You root yourself in it. And what you consistently water must grow. The old state will try to pull you back. It will whisper through habits and memories and emotional triggers. It will tempt you to respond the way you used to. But you are not obligated to obey it. That version of you has no power unless you grant it. The real power lies in your awareness to notice the old reaction rising and to pause, to choose differently, to ask yourself, how would the person I desire to be respond in this moment? And then to respond from that truth. This is not suppression. This is transformation. You are not denying how you feel. You are elevating it. You are choosing a new foundation from which to live. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes, until one day the old reactions no longer call you. They no longer feel like home, because your state has truly shifted. You know you have changed not when things outside begin to look different, but when you respond differently, when you no longer feel the need to defend, to chase, to prove, or to control. When you can witness life unfolding and remain steady, not because of what is happening, but because of who you've become. The world mirrors you not occasionally, but faithfully. So when your reactions rise from a new place within, a place of worth, peace, certainty, the reflection must change. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Each reaction is an opportunity, an invitation to embody the truth you've chosen, to show yourself and the world that you are no longer who you were. You are now who you've decided to be, and everything outside must follow. Faith is not merely belief. It is not a hope, nor a wish, nor a vague longing for something better. Faith is the deliberate act of fixing your attention on the unseen reality, the inner world you have claimed as true, and holding it there, unmoved by appearances, untouched by delays, undisturbed by what seems. This is not passive. This is the most active force in the universe. For to look beyond what is and see only what is becoming, that is the sacred power of creation. Your senses will always reflect the past. What you see, hear, and touch now is the echo of an old state, a former assumption. It has no power in itself, but your attention, that is where the power lives. What you consistently focus on, you fertilize. What you attend to with feeling and conviction, you bring into form. To shift once and for all means to choose the unseen reality and remain faithful to it, until the world has no choice but to conform. You are not required to know how. You are not asked to force the outcome. You are simply called to see the end in your mind, to feel its presence in your heart, and to refuse to let it go, no matter what surrounds you. That is true faith. Fixing your gaze inward when the outer world argues against it and saying, I know who I am. I know what is mine. This is not stubbornness born of pride. It is stillness born of knowing. You are not battling the world. You are not striving against opposition. You are allowing what you have chosen to unfold by refusing to shift your gaze. You no longer look for signs. You no longer ask for proof. You carry the proof within you in the form of your attention. Every moment offers a choice. Will you look at what is, or will you remain loyal to what shall be? Faith is not shaken by contradiction. Faith does not falter when time stretches or when noise surrounds. Faith waits not in resignation, but in certainty, because it knows reality is not built by hands, it is built in consciousness. And what is held in consciousness with enough persistence must be born into form. To fix your attention on the invisible is to reject the tyranny of appearances. You no longer ask the world to show you who you are. You declare it first within, and allow the world to rise to meet you. The outer world is clay, not stone. It bends to the shape of your inner conviction. But it takes the steady eye, the quiet spirit, the unwavering attention of one who has seen the end and refuses to look away. Faith is your anchor. When doubts come, you do not fight them. You return your gaze. When fear whispers, you do not answer. You remain fixed. This is how mountains move. This is how realities are rewritten. This is how worlds are born. Not through effort, but through unwavering focus on what cannot yet be seen until it must be. You shift not many times, but once, when your attention remains fixed and no longer wavers. From that moment, the world begins to bend, not because you forced it, but because you remember who you are and you refuse to forget. When you come to understand that one inner shift changes everything, your life is no longer ruled by chance or circumstance, but by awareness. Every desire, every transformation begins not in effort but in stillness. Your inner world writes the script. Your imagination holds the key. Your reactions reveal your truth, and your faith in the unseen breathes it all into being. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are not asking for signs. You are not hoping that time or effort will finally deliver what you seek. You are the cause, the center, the origin point. Shift your state, and you shift the world. Remain loyal to that inner movement, and life must reflect it. This is the invitation. Assume the end, live from it, react as though it's already yours. Fix your gaze on the invisible until the visible bends. You don't need more time, more effort, or more proof. You need only to decide and remain. Thank you for listening. Stay in the state, the world will follow.